I'm going to read to y'all Isaiah or Yashayahu, chapter 10. Woe to those making unrighteous laws and writers who have prescribed toil to keep the needy back from right ruling and to take what is right from the poor of my people, that widows become their prey and orphans their plunder. What shall you do in the yom of visitation, and in the ruin which comes from afar? To whom would you run for help, and where would you leave your wealth? Without me they shall without me they shall bow down among the prisoners, and fall among the slain. With all this, his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to Ashur, the rod of my displeasure, and the staff is whose hand is my displeasure. Now I'm going to pause there a second, because his rod and his staff, I had a moment when I was in Houston at a good church service, and it was a Saturday service. I loved it. They didn't believe that they were Sabbath keepers. They just preferred to do church Saturday, so they'd have more members. Because people would come on Saturday that wouldn't come on Sunday. Because most of them had, their own, they were mostly worshipers, singers, drum players, ministers that would show up, and they already had a church home. Anyway, during that time, a guy came up to me who was the pastor of all the house churches and people from other churches, and he said, "I command the wicked finances, to dry up." And I had a hard time accepting that, and I paced around for a minute, and I started back to my seat, but I wouldn't go. I said, "God, I've got to make right with this, because if I don't, you're not going to deal with me well." And so I laid face down in the carpet there between the altar and the first row of chairs, and I immediately went into a vision where I was flipped upside down, like on my back, and the shepherd, the good shepherd, had his staff, and he was poking around and rearranging me. The rod of his displeasure, the staff of the hand of his displeasure. Who, the staff, and whose hand is my displeasure. And I knew that he was so gentle with it, that because I gave in to him realigning my business. And I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong, but my husband would constantly give money to the lotto. And sure enough, from that point on, we started getting spankings every time he would do the lotto. Okay, going on. Verse 6. Against a defiled nation I send him. Just a second, I gotta get my hand turned. and against the people of, lift it up a little higher so I can see past it. Against the people of my wrath, I command him to seize the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mud of the streets. But he does not intend. He does not intend so, nor does his heart think so. For it is in his heart to destroy and cut off not a few nations. For he says, are not my princes sovereigns? Is not Kano, Kaino, like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad? Is not Shaman? Oh no, Shamaron like Damascus? As my hand has found the reign of the idols, whose carved images exceeded those of Jerusalem and Shamaron. As I have done to Shamaron, which this is probably not Shamaron. It's pronounced that way here, but Sodom and Gomorrah. Shamaron is probably the same as Sodom and Gomorrah. And her idols, do I not do also to Jerusalem and her idols? Verse 12. And it shall be, when Yahuwah has performed all his work on Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, that I shall punish the fruit of the greatness of the heart of the sovereign of Ashur, and the boasting of the haughty looks. For he has said, by the power of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I have been clever, I remove the boundaries of the people, and have robbed the treasuries. And I put down the inhabitants like a strong one. Okay, I think you can still see it. Yeah, we're down here now. And my hand finds the riches of people like a nest, and I have gathered all the arets, like forsaken eggs are gathered, and there was no one who moved his wing, nor opened his mouth, or even a peep, with even a peep. Would the axe boast itself over him who chops it, or who chops with it? Or the saw exalt itself over him? Who saw with it? Wait a minute. Let me start that over. Would the axe boast itself over him who chops with it? Or the saw exalt himself over him who saws with it? Or a rod waving those who lift it up? As a staff lifts up that which is not wood. Therefore the Master Yahushua Sabaoth. Let me get down here now. Get higher so I can see under it. Therefore the Master Yahuwah Sabaoth sent leanness among the fat ones, and under his esteem he kindles a burning like the burning of a fire, And the light, I've felt that fire before. Verse 17, and the light of Yisrael shall be for a fire, and his set apart one for a flame, and it shall burn and devour his weeds and his thorn bushes in one yom, in one day, and consume the esteem of his forest and his fertile fields, both life and flesh, and they shall be as when a sick man wastes away, and the remaining tree of his forest shall be so few in number that a child records them. And in that yom it shall be that the remnant of Israel and those who have I get change hands so my hand don't get tired. Those who have escaped the house of Jacob or Jacob never again lean upon him who defeated them, but lean upon Yahuwah, the set apart one of Israel. Now that could happen soon, or maybe it's already happened. But I've heard prophecies that Trump and Bibi would kind of separate ways so that Bibi would lean on Yahuwah instead of leaning on America. Okay, verse 21. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty all, or the mighty all, or you could say the Almighty, right? Verse 22. For though your people, O Yisrael, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return, a decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. Verse 23. For the Master Yahuwah of hosts is making a complete end, as decided in the midst of all the Eretz. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahuwah Sabaoth, my people who dwell in Zion, be not afraid of Ashur, who beats you with a rod and lifts up his staff against you in the way of Mitzrayim, for yet a little while, and the displeasure shall be completed, and my displeasure be to their destruction. Verse 26. And Yahuwah of hosts stirs up a lash for him as the smiting of Midian and the rock of Oreb, and as his rod was on the sea, so shall he lift it up in the way of Mitzrayim, that's Egypt. Verse 27. And in that yom it shall be that his burden is removed from your shoulder. And so when he rises up, that's when Yahuwah is going to remove the burden from your shoulder, okay? I heard a prophecy from Kim Clement that said when the ships come into the Gulf, a great wave will come up and take them over. Will cause them, will fight for us, right? So that maybe something like that will happen. and his yoke from your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing oil. Hallelujah. Verse 28. He has come upon Ayath. He has passed Migron at Michmash. He stored his supplies, and they have gone through the pass. They have taken up lodging at Geba. Ramah is afraid. Gibeah of Shaul has fled. Verse 30. Lift up your voice, daughter of Gileam. Listen, Laasha, O poor Nanothoth. Nanothoth. Verse 31. Medina has fled. The inhabitants of Gibeon sought refuge, yet he remained at Nob that yom. He shakes the fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Verse 33. Look, the master, Yahuwah Sabaoth, is lopping off a branch with an awesome crash, and the tall ones are cut down, and the lofty ones are laid low. And he shall cut down the thickets of the trees with iron, and Lebanon shall fall as a mighty one. Thank you for listening.